Hello and welcome to the channel. As always, like the video, and if you enjoyed the story, leave a comment on if you would want more. This fan fiction was not created by me, but in the description there is a link to the fanfic so you can show your support to the creator and read along. Without any more delay, let's dive into the story.
As Ainz, Taylar, Albedo, and Narbrel made their way out of the guild, they all sighed at almost the same exact moment. This brought on a chuckle or giggle from everyone, even Narbrel. They had finally finished up talking about the incident in the graveyard after they had been there for over 3 hours. They had all expected to be at the guild for a while after to debrief everyone on what went down, but none of them expected it to take this long. Most of the last hour was spent by the guild trying to figure out exactly what rank to promote them to. Some were saying to make them adamantite right now. Ainz didn't oppose this. He knew they were all stronger than any adamantite adventure in this kingdom. Others pointed out they had no prior accomplishments and should only be given mithril rank. By the time the arguing was over with, they still hadn't come to a consensus, so Ainz and company were allowed to leave. All of them were grateful for this because they wanted a good night's rest for once. It was unnecessary for them, but they had gotten used to it, and it kept their minds especially sharp. Taylar wished she would have gotten a good night's rest the day of the incident. It took all the brain power she could muster to come up with excuse after excuse for anyone who thought the Swords of Darkness were all killed. It would greatly hinder her ideas for them if they were all declared dead, but she eventually got them to concede that they were probably being held captive for some other purpose, somewhere else in one of Zuranon's hideouts. Finding out who, or what is more accurate, Zuranon was giving her plenty of ideas for excuses. By proxy of learning about Zuranon, Ainz and company also learned of the existence of the Eight Fingers organization. This new information gave Ainz mixed feelings about the meeting at the guild. He felt there was no reason it should have taken that long, but was also grateful for all the information he learned. They were told to come back in 3 days for the final ruling on their new rank. As they were finally about to leave the guild, one of the receptionists stopped Ainz. "I'm sorry to disturb you, Mr. Mammon, but I was told to ask you about an unfilled spot in your guild registration," she says to him. "What do you mean? Do we have to redo it or something?" Ainz asked the woman. "Oh no, Mr. Mammon. They wanted me to inquire about the name of your group. While it is unnecessary to fill it out, it will certainly help others identify who you are without having to remember all of your names. You still do not need one if you would not like to have one. It is just recommended since you will be ranking up to a much higher level. I believe the minimum you will receive will be mithril, so it is a good idea to get your name in now while you are the talk of the town," she tells Ainz. "I guess she has a point, Mammon. We didn't really even talk about a party name. Could we maybe dash?" Taylar is cut off by Ainz. "Actually, if you wouldn't mind, Bella, I do have a name I would like to use. Do you mind if I name the team?" Ainz asks her. "As long as it isn't something like fluffy pink unicorns or noobs are us, I'm fine with that." She smirks at him. Ainz grabs the pen from the woman and fills in the party name he wants to use. Taylar looks over his shoulder to see what name he'd choose and has some mixed emotions about it. She had to ask him about the reason behind the name, because it could mean any number of things. That would have to wait until they were back home in Nazareth. It wasn't something they should be talking about in the city. Once Ainz was finished, they finally left the guild and headed towards the bearer shop. They were going to tell Lizzie that in 3 days when they returned, Firia and her were going to be moving to Karn village. He was going to send someone from Nazareth to work in the store. It seemed like a waste to not use the bearer name to sell at least what potions they had left in the store. He would probably have them make some potions to continue the store's operation, but that was a decision for later. No need to give up a revenue source right now. He could always just sell the building if they ran out of potions, and he didn't want to keep it open. Once they told Lizzie what she needed to know, Ainz opened a gate to Nazareth. They all had a lot to do, and, to be honest, 3 days wasn't a lot of time to get accomplished. They all stepped out of the gate into the hallway outside of Ainz's room. The first thing he needed was rest. He hadn't actually slept in 3 days, and his mind was wearing out. He could still fight endlessly because his body was fine, but the amount of thinking he would need to do over the next 3 days would definitely require rest. Before he could head inside, Taylar asked what she had been wanting to since she saw the party name. Before we go in, why did you pick that name? Taylar asks. Do you need to know this minute? I would really like some sleep, he replies. I would like to know, yes. It could mean any number of things, and tell me exactly how you are feeling. Taylar replies. Albedo and Narbrol are intrigued by this conversation. Neither one of them had seen the name Mamanga/Lord Ainz had given their party. It is just a reminder to me not to think of the past, but to make a better future, he tells her. Okay, I like that answer. She jumps at him, and he catches her. So, about this armor, she says. He realizes what she means and dismisses his spell. He stretches his wings out again and wraps them around Taylar. There, is that better? He asks her. Very much so. Okay, I need to sleep too. Let's go, she says to him and Albedo. Narbrol Gamma, you did a very good job with us. You have the next 3 days to yourself until we have to return to Irantal. Ainz tells her. As you command, Lord Ainz. Narbrol replies before she heads off. She asks Lady Taylar a question she had wanted to since the graveyard. Lady Taylar. Yes, Narbrol. What is it? Taylar replies. If you have time in the next 3 days we are in Nazareth, I would love to hear the story you spoke of in the graveyard about Seraphim, Lady Taylar. She asks her. Oh yes, that is right. Well, I have something to do in the morning tomorrow. How about I meet you after lunch, and we can talk about it then? If you wish it to just be you and I because you asked, that is fine. If you don't mind other people being there, you may invite whoever you like. It would be easier to only tell this story once. Taylar tells Narbrol. I look forward to it, Lady Taylar. Narbrol replies. Once Narbrol talked with Taylar, she headed off towards the Pleiades wing of the 9th floor. It would be great for her to finally be able to relax, and she got to hear Lady Taylar tell her about the destruction of the ones who led the attack on Nazareth. This was turning out to be a wonderful little vacation for Narbrol Gamma. None of the other 3 really had anything else to say. Albedo was kind of curious now about the name he chose, but from Taylar's reaction, it was for a good reason. Albedo could get a sense of Mamanga's meaning from what he said it meant, and that was enough for now. She would find out in 3 days when they got their new guild plates. They all headed inside, and quickly fell asleep. It was easier than normal since none of them had a good night's rest in 3 days. At 6 a.m. the alarm Ainz had set went off. He really needed some rest, but he also had a ton to do. 4 hours of rest was going to have to do for now. As he tried to get out of bed, Taylar objected to what he was doing. Turn that damn thing off and lay back down, please, she asks. I would love to, but I have a lot of things to do, and only 3 days to do them in, he tells her. He really didn't want to leave this bed right now either, but duty called. Set it for 9 and lay back down. Albedo and I only have a couple things to take care of each. We will help you with whatever you need. Taylar says. Ainz is about to object again when Albedo throws her right leg over his, squeezes him a little tighter, and starts rubbing her cheek on his chest. Pretty much the universal sign pleading someone not to get up. He supposed if Taylar and Albedo gave him a hand it wouldn't take as long, and what good excuse could any man come up with to leave this situation? All right. He gives in. Yay. Now lay back down. I still need more rest. She smirks at him. Then does the same exact thing Albedo did to him, but on the left side. Yep, this is much better than paperwork and planning, he thinks to himself and drifts back off to sleep. When the alarm finally went off again, they all actually got out of bed. None of them wanted to, but there was much to do. Taylar was excited to try her special ability and wondered what it would be like in this world. She pretty much only used it when they fought world bosses and did raids. It had a 1-week cooldown, so it wasn't something she could use whenever she wanted. Albedo needed to have a talk with Pandora's actor. He had taken over her duties while she was away, and there was probably much she needed to be caught up on. After that, she needs to figure out what to do with the intelligent magic item Amanda gave her. She knew the faster she completed these tasks, the quicker she would be back by his side. It made it a little easier for Albedo to accept some of the habits Taylar and Momonga wanted to change that she was created with when they asked for her help regarding the future of Nazarick. Ainz had about 10 things he needed to sort out. He would have to figure out what he should do right now and what could wait for Taylar and Albedo to help with. He figured the first thing he should do is talk to Pandora's actor and find out the state of Nazarick before anything else. Okay, I need to talk to Pandora's actor. He should be in the office in the throne room by now. What are you two going to do? Ainz asks them. I am going to try my special ability on the Swords of Darkness in the Colosseum. Then I am going to meet Narbril Gamma. She wanted to hear the story of how we destroyed Seraphim on the last day of Yggdrasil. Then I got nothing but time to help you. Taylar says to him. I also need to speak with Pandora's actor, Momonga. Then I must find a use for the Orb of Death. Would you mind if I listen to your story too, Taylar? Albedo says. I don't see a problem with that, Albedo. It will be after lunch. I will message you then and tell you where. Well, you two have fun. I'll see you after lunch, Taylar says, and uses her ring of Ainz' old gown to teleport to the 6th floor. Albedo reaches for her ring, but Momonga stops her. Mind if we walk? I like to enjoy Nazarick as much as I can. Ainz asks her. That is fine, my love, Albedo says. Ainz notices her wings shaking. That usually means she is excited about something. She must really not mind walking around Nazarick. As Ainz opened the door, he was greeted by his maid for the day, Sixus. Good morning, Lord Ainz, Lady Albedo. Good morning, Sixus. Ainz and Albedo say at the same time. Sixus is delighted Lord Ainz and Lady Albedo remembers her name. She didn't think she would be worthy to remember in their eyes. Lady Albedo had been spending a lot of time with them, but she had been gone the last few days. They all missed spending time with the overseer greatly. It was unbelievable to her Lord Ainz would know her name though. She was still in a state of shock when she began following them down the hall to their destination. Right as the shock was wearing off, Lord Ainz did something that she would have to tell everyone the moment her shift was over. Ainz was walking down the hall with Albedo and figured he did it with Taylar. Why not with Albedo? He reached out his hand and intertwined his fingers with hers so he could walk down the hall with her as he did with Taylar all the time. It was now very apparent to him Taylar was not joking about making Albedo a queen of Nazarick. So he should treat Albedo just like he did Taylar. He didn't look at Albedo when he did this, but he could tell her wings were shaking by the vibrations he was getting through his hands. It obviously made her very excited he was doing this, so he saw nothing wrong with it. Since he didn't look, he didn't see Albedo's face go so red you couldn't even call it a blush. It was like a kettle from a cartoon that was about to explode. Once they finally made it to the office of the throne room, Sixus opened the door for them, and Ainz saw Pandora's actor sitting there going over paperwork. It was good to see he was actually doing the job he left for him to do. He hoped he didn't screw it up too bad that Albedo would have a ton to do, but better to reserve judgment until after he got an update. When Pandora's actor saw Ainz come in the room, he immediately jumped up from the chair to greet his creator and saw Ainz and Albedo holding hands. Greetings to you, father. Wait, father. What the hell is he talking about? Ainz thinks. I see you have made it official with Overseer Albedo. Shall I be calling her mother from now on? Pandora asks him. Ainz is completely stupefied. Where the hell did all this father and mother stuff come from? I don't think, Ainz says but stops. That is fine with me, Albedo says to him. The reason he stopped is that he heard Albedo's response to Pandora's question. Taylar, I hope you aren't busy. I have a bit of a situation. I'm free for a few minutes. What is it, love? Pandora called me father and saw me holding hands with Albedo and now wants to call her mother. I tried to put a stop to it, but she quickly agreed. You were holding hands with Albedo? That's a big step for you, Lord Ainz, hee. I think I should be upset he didn't ask me that first. Tell him it is okay if he calls me the same. Wait, you are kidding, right? I called to get an excuse to put an end to this, not add to my torment. Don't worry, love. We are one big happy family. And Taylar ends the message. Ainz can't believe that is what came out of that message. Instead of an excuse now, he needs to tell Pandora, he needs to call Taylar mother if he is going to call Albedo that. This day was starting off pretty terrible in his eyes. He makes one move to treat Albedo like Taylar by holding her hand, and this is what happens. Perhaps he should just send everyone else out and sit in his room. He couldn't seem to say no to Taylar when she said something. Well, that backfired. He says to himself. It seems your request has a condition, Pandora. Ainz says to his creation. What is it, father? He replies. Taylar said you can only call Albedo mother if you also call her mother. Ainz says. It sounded even dumber coming out of his mouth then when he heard Taylar say it. He was pretty sure there wasn't much more in the world that was this embarrassing. Mother's wish is my command, father. Pandora says to him. Oh, great. I can tell I'm going to enjoy this. Ainz thinks sarcastically. Well, down to business, since that is settled. I would like to hear the state of Nazarick, and I'm sure Albedo has plenty she needs to hear from you also. Ainz says to him. Yes, father. I have outlined the defensive plan Demiurge and Mother came up with before your departure, made a list of possible shortages Nazarick might face from a supply standpoint, set the requested schedule for the homunculi maids, consulted with Cositus, Demiurge, and Victim on possible scenarios for defending Nazarick, made a shift rotation for Cositus guards near your rooms, have arranged for all audience meeting placements of subordinates, and ran the finances of Nazarick to see how much gold we might need to make in the future. On that front, I have outstanding news, father. After you and Mother deposited your plunder from a few days ago, I have been able to at least add up the gold we currently have. Without the items I have yet to get to, and assuming we only have to set off all the traps in Nazarick once a year, we have enough gold to keep Nazarick operational for 250,000 years. Lastly, with Aura and her beast's help, we have successfully mapped a decent portion of the area around us, including the Forest of Tob, the Great Lakes, and some of the Azurlija Mountains. We have found lizard men, toad men, witches, and catfolk living in and around the Great Lakes. Ogres, goblins, wargs, and trolls living in the Forest of Tob. Frost dragons, winter wolves, earth elementals, and dwarves living in the Azurlija Mountains. Pandora tells them. That is fantastic news, son. You have accomplished so much in such a short time. Truly you are worthy to be the creation of Mamanga. Albedo says to him. Every word she said sounded completely sincere to Ainz and Pandora, like a proud mother would as she was talking about her child. Ainz knew he should have put a stop to this the moment it happened, but now there was nothing he could do about it. It is as Albedo has said, Pandora. You have done a wonderful job filling in for her while she is out of Nazarick. You may spend the next 3 days doing whatever you wish while we are here. It will serve as a little vacation for all your hard work. When we leave in 3 days' time, I wish for you to continue filling in for Albedo. Is that all right with you? Ainz asks him. Yes, father. I shall serve Nazarick to the utmost of my ability, he replies. Very good. You are dismissed. If you need anything from us, do not hesitate to call. Ainz says. As Pandora's actor leaves with a flamboyant bow, Ainz can't help but shake his head at the actions of his creation. He supposes it's his own fault, though. He did create him to act like this. Albedo, if there is nothing else you need, you may go about whatever business you need to accomplish while we are in Nazarick. If you need me for anything, I will be in the office going over my plans, he tells her. Well, there is one thing I would like before leaving Mamanga. Cece, can I have a kiss? Albedo requests. Ainz turns to her and gives her the kiss she requested. He had no idea why she was asking. He thought by this point she would realize what was going on and just do it instead of asking. He supposed she still had some trepidations about being so forward with him even after everything they had been doing. He still understood how difficult some of this was for her. When he told them, he could sense life energy since coming to this world. He didn't have time to elaborate on it because of the circumstances. He thought right now might be a good idea to tell Albedo exactly what he knew because of this new ability. Albedo, you do not have to ask for something like that. I will gladly kiss you whenever you like if the situation permits it. I understand. Well, feel your hesitation in acting like this. I could not go into detail about it because of the situation we were in, but I will tell you about it now before you go, he tells her. Albedo is curious now. She remembers him saying in the forest he could sense the life energy of things that were susceptible to death, but didn't fully understand what he meant by that. Getting him to tell her exactly what he meant would give her a greater insight into her beloved, and she eagerly awaited his explanation. I told you I could sense the life energy of things susceptible to death, but it is more than just that. The longer I spend around something, the more information I get. I can even sense someone's emotions if I am close enough to them for long periods of time. Take you, for example, Albedo. I know I told you Taylar, and I don't like it when you call us lady and lord, but I can feel your uneasiness at speaking to us without honorifics. I can feel your frustration at having to address humans respectfully. I can also feel your love, compassion, and caring for Taylar, the Pleiades, and the other citizens of Nazareth. I felt your rage at Clementine when she made fun of the Pleiades, and I know why the homunculi maids love you so much. You truly care about them with all your heart. I will never ask you to treat those outside of Nazareth like you do the citizens of our home. If I was given the choice of sacrificing one member of Nazareth to save 10 million people of this new world, I would let those millions of people die without a second thought. Albedo is going through a lot of different emotions as Mamanga is speaking with her. At first, she thinks he is going to get angry at her because he has known this whole time she has just been acting. She has been trying to see things from Taylar's point of view, but it is nearly impossible for her. She can't see humans or anyone not from Nazareth as nothing but stepping stones to further Nazareth. They are all weak, pathetic excuses for beings and should be trampled underfoot by her glorious Lord. She was happy to know he knew she truly cared for everyone in Nazareth. She had made a real effort to get to know and spend time for everyone she could. She even went out of her way to spend time with Solution, even knowing she wanted Shaltir to be with Lord Ainz and not her. When she heard him say he would let millions die instead of losing one member of Nazareth, it brought a very satisfied smile to Albedo's soft, beautiful face. See, even right there, Albedo. I know you were worried, then frustrated, then angry, then happy in that order when I was telling you all of that. I understand you were created to be extremely evil, Albedo, so it is in your nature to feel this way. The reason Taylar and I are trying to teach you so much and bring you with us is that we want you to realize you cannot act evil all the time. There are times when compassion, mercy, and/or guidance is the right path to take with all races. I know it is hard, Albedo, but you must become your own person. Do not let yourself be determined by your settings. You are much more than that now. Same goes for everyone in Nazareth. Ainz tells Albedo. I am sorry, Lord Mamanga. Albedo, he says curiosity in every letter, wondering what in the world she is apologizing for. I have been lying to you and Lady Taylar the whole time we have been together. I have been acting like I am learning, but I cannot seem to think as you two do at all. You have granted every selfish request I have made, and even rewarded me by holding my hand because you thought I was making so much progress. I do not desir dash. Albedo, he interrupts her not so gently. Stop with that nonsense right now. I have known this whole time how you feel, and so has Taylar. You cannot change your nature in just a few days. Even I am having to learn to act differently since we came here, and I know it is not an easy process. Even if you are acting, you are still trying, and that is what matters. Let me ask you something. Have you killed any of the people you think should just be crushed underfoot? Other than that woman from the graveyard, no, Lord Mamanga. Have you made plans behind mine or Taylar's back to use anyone we have met in a different way than we have purposed? No, I would never. Then you are learning Albedo. Even if you think you are just acting. If you were only acting the part, you would have put an end to those you thought disrespected me, or Taylar, and I know there are plenty in Irantal who have done just that. We have no doubt that you would already be a great queen of Nazarick. What we all need to learn is how to rule over those not from Nazarick, because Taylar and I feel as you do Albedo. Well, not as strongly as you do, but you understand what I mean. Albedo is trying her hardest not to become overtaken by her emotions. To think Lord Mamanga would go to such lengths to try and comfort her after such a mistake on her part. She tried hard but couldn't hold back all the tears, and some of them started streaming down her face. Thank you, Lord, sorry Mamanga. It is all right, Albedo. He puts both his hands on her cheeks and wipes away her tears with his thumbs. He gives her a gentle kiss and pulls her in for a hug. He understood having to try to rein in your emotions since coming here. He felt all of his emotions at higher levels than he ever did on Earth. He supposed it had something to do with his new race, but he was learning to get it under control. He still had moments now and then, but not very often, and when it did, it was usually anger that boiled over. She began to cry a little. Not very much, but enough to relieve the emotions she was feeling right now, he supposed. When she was done, he wiped away the last of her tear and gently moved away from her. Now then, take your time to collect yourself and do whatever you need to Albedo. If you wish to stay here and help me, that is fine also. Albedo takes a deep breath and straightens out her dress. I am okay now, Mamanga. Thank you for everything you said. It makes me feel much better. You are welcome, my love, Mamanga says to Albedo. Ainz doesn't need his new ability to see how happy Albedo was with that statement. He had to put his hands on the paperwork Pandora did to stop it from flying away at how fast Albedo's wings were shaking. A smile forms on his lips, and he finishes what he needs to say to her. It seems you will at least be able to get to call us Lord and Lady from time to time, so it might be easier for you to get used to than you think. What do you mean, Mamanga? She asks. I found out that during official events such as the meetings we have with the citizens of Nazarick or the floor guardians that even kings and queens address each other by title during those events, calling each other king, queen, lord, lady, majesty, etc. Thank you for that information, Mamanga. I will engrave it in my heart, she replies. Thank you for calling me Mamanga. I can tell it is the one thing you don't have much of a problem with, he chuckles. You will always be Lord Mamanga to me, my beloved. I will take my leave now. I have not seen anyone from Nazarick in a few days and wish to spend some time with them. If you need anything, I will come right away, she says to him. He waves goodbye to her and starts going over the paperwork Pandora did while he was away. He was incredibly impressed at everything he had accomplished. Albedo was definitely right to praise him, even if it was slightly awkward with the whole mother-son thing. Seabass, where are you right now? I am outside the door to the throne room, my lord. Good. I am in need of your assistance in the office. I shall be right there, Lord Ainz. With Taylar in the 6th floor Coliseum, Taylar had just ended her message with Ainz. She was giggling uncontrollably at what just happened. She wished she could have seen Ainz's face when she said Pandora had to call her mother too, but the voice he made in response was just as good. When she finally got her laughter under control and was about to do what she came to do, she heard someone call out to her. Hey, Lady Taylar. What BB brings you TT to my FF floor, Supreme One? Mare asks her. Oh, Mare, I thought you would be outside with Aura. I just came to use the Coliseum to test out my special ability on some people who died while traveling with us, she tells the druid. TT the Great Tomb of Nazarick II is your to do WW with WW whatever you WW want, anytime you WW want, Lady Taylar. Mare replies. Thank you, Mare. Would you like to watch? I'm not sure it works the same as it did in Yggdrasil, so if you want to stay, please go up in the VIP box, so You are out of the area of effect. I'm not quite sure what will happen and don't want anything to happen to you, Mayor, she tells him. TT thank YYU Lady Taylar, he replies and runs straight up the stairs to the VIP box. Right as Taylar is about to start, Demiurge appears in the hallway that leads to the Colosseum. She wonders why he is here all of a sudden and needs to find out quickly. She wanted to try this out since the Swords of Darkness died. As Demiurge makes his way to Taylar, he gets down on one knee and puts his hand to his heart while bowing. Forgive the intrusion, Lady Taylar. I was hoping you would grant me the wonderful reward of witnessing your special ability with my own eyes. I hear it can even bring those back to life who have been turned into undead and wish to witness such a miracle, if you will permit it. Demiurge asks Taylar. Taylar wasn't quite sure what to say to him. She had some reservations about letting Demiurge witness her special ability. First, she wasn't sure it would work at all, or even like it did in Yggdrasil. She didn't want to look incompetent in front of him. There was also Demiurge's nature and creator to think about. He was set to be as evil as possible with a particular love of torture. It was true he loved mental torture more than physical, but he enjoyed both. There was also the fact that she and Albert didn't exactly get along. She never understood why until Momonga told her why Albert and Touch Me didn't get along. She thought it was stupid to dislike someone because they were successful and you weren't, but figured there wasn't much she could do to change his mind. She wondered if any of Albert's personality had rubbed off on Demiurge. She figured since she offered to let Mare watch, she might as well do the same for Demiurge. It wasn't like Albert was here to influence Demiurge. Sure, Demiurge, just go up in the VIP box with Mare. I don't want anything to happen to you if you get caught up in the area of effect, she tells him. As Demiurge is making his way to the box, Taylar pulls out the bodies of the Swords of Darkness from her storage and arranges them on the ground facing the sky, one next to the other. She takes a few steps back and tries her ability. Taylar extends her arms out, one above the other at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, with her pointer finger on each hand, the only fingers out. She begins to rotate her arms in a clockwise motion, and a circle of light begins to appear. Once the circle is completed, she begins moving her fingers inside the circle at a rapid pace. Demiurge is quite intrigued by what is going on and focuses on the circle Lady Taylar has drawn in the air with light. As he sees her fingers begin to move rapidly, he sees something begin to take shape inside the circle of light. When Lady Taylar finishes, he sees that she has drawn the tree of life inside the circle, and it looks to be made of pure light. When she finishes, she throws both her arms outward, and the circle expands to 100 meters in every direction from her. It starts to rotate as it expands and goes from a vertical picture in front of her to a horizontal picture centered on her. Once it reaches its area of effect, the light shines brightly, and Demiurge hears her say, "Not all that has died is dead." Demiurge sees Lady Taylar point at the body in the center when she finishes her saying. He doesn't notice anything happen, but it looks like Lady Taylar is trying to get someone to calm down. As Taylar finishes her ability and points to the body of Ninya, Ninya's spirit rises up from her body and begins freaking out. WW, who are YYU? What is HH happening? Didn't I die? Where am I? Ninya asks and is finally interrupted by Taylar. Enough, Ninya. You are going to ruin your second chance at life if you don't stop asking questions right now. Taylar yells at her. Taylar seemed to grow bigger and more intimidating to Ninya the longer she yelled at her, and she quickly closed her ghost mouth. That is good. Now, since you asked, I must answer, but do not ask another question until I am done explaining what is going on. First, I am Taylar Olgown, Queen of Nazarick. Second, I am using my special ability on you. Third, yes, you did die. Lastly, you are on the 6th floor of Nazarick. Now, I will explain everything to you. Do not interrupt me. Taylar looks to Ninya and sees her nod in acceptance and continues on. As I said, this is my special ability, granted to me for being the angel of life. You and your friends were killed by a woman named Clementine, and your friends were turned into undead. I am here to offer you a second chance, but it comes with conditions. The first condition, if you choose to accept my offer, you will serve Nazarick before anyone, even yourselves. We are a family here, and nothing comes before family. Second, to be a member of Nazarick, you must be a heteromorphic race, so you will not be resurrected but reincarnated. The reason I used my special ability is that it allows me to choose the race you reincarnate as. If I were to just use true reincarnation on you, you could end up any heteromorphic race, and I can't have that because I have plans for you four. The last thing you need to know is that you can ask me any 10 questions, and I must answer them to the best of my ability. Since you freaked out at the beginning and asked me for, you now only have 6 questions you may ask of me. After you ask your final question, you will have 1 minute to make your decision. Now, think about what you want to know and ask your 6 questions, she tells her. It doesn't take a ghost whisperer to see the range of emotions on Ninya's face. She isn't really sure what to make of this situation. What questions should she ask? Why her and the Swords of Darkness? How does she know Ninya? All of these things and more go through her mind. She takes a few moments to compose herself and starts with what she thinks is the most obvious one that should be asked. If you know so much about us, why are you talking to me and not Peter? Ninya asks her first question. Exactly what I thought you would ask first, and the easiest to answer. You were hiding being a girl from you companions for some reason. When, or should I say if, I reincarnate all of you, there will not be any way for you to cover up your figure and pass as a boy, so you will need to come to terms with the fact they will know you are a woman. Taylar tells her. I see. How do you know of us and what happened? Pretty quick-minded of you, Ninya, but it doesn't work like that. Even if it is 1 sentence, it is still 2 questions even if it has 1 answer. Taylar pulls out her illusion necklace and puts it on. Ninya sees her transform from Taylar to Bella, and suddenly, a lot of things make sense to her. She knew they couldn't be that young and used tear for magic. Now she had an explanation. Her next question she didn't even mean to slip out, but she did, and it still counted. So Maman is. Ah yes, he is Ainz Olgown, the king of Nazarick and my husband, she tells Ninya. Are you going to turn us into some kind of monster race? She asks. No, as I said, I have plans for you four. I will make you a race that can pass as human. There are a few to choose from. I still haven't picked one for certain, but have it narrowed down already. You said family comes first. The reason I became an adventurer was to find my sister, who was taken from me by a noble and sold as a slave. Will I still be able to look for her if I serve Nazarick? A good last question, Ninya. Yes and no. Yes, you'll be able to look for her, but only on your own time, and after we feel you are trained enough to take care of yourselves without us having to watch you. You will need to stay in Nazarick and learn the new abilities of your race and become stronger than you currently are. Now that you have asked your final question, you have 1 minute to decide. If you do not answer in 1 minute, it will count as you declining and you will go back to being dead. When she replayed Taylar's answers back in her mind, it didn't take her long to come to a conclusion on what to do. She looked Taylar in the eyes and gave her answer. I accept your offer, Lady Taylar. Ninya says. Very good, Ninya the spellcaster. Taylar responds. True reincarnation, Asamar. As Taylar finished her words, the bodies of the Swords of Darkness were wrapped in light, and then it quickly vanished. At first glance, they looked like they did when they were human, but if you looked closer, you could see traits that were definitely not human even if they looked it. Ninya's hair and eyes had changed colors completely from brown hair and blue eyes to platinum blonde hair and golden eyes. She was obviously a woman now because there was no hiding the figure she now possessed. Her body figure very closely resembled that of Taylar and Albedo's, just from a person younger. Taylar had no doubt she would definitely have a body like her and Albedo when she fully matured. Peter went from having blonde hair and blue eyes to blue hair and golden eyes like Ninya. It also looked like he gained about 30 pounds of muscle and grew to just over 6 feet tall. He also got considerably better looking to Taylar, and she was sure the ladies of Irantal would like the new look. Dine's hair and eyes had also changed along with his body. His once blonde hair and brown eyes were now both green in color. His hair was a darker shade of green while his eyes seemed to shine almost as Taylor's did. His body didn't change too much, but he lost some of the bulk to him and got a little leaner. He was still big, but didn't appear to be fat like he had before. Luckrut probably changed the least as far as appearance goes. His hair was still blonde, but his once brown eyes were now a deep blue. He seemed to gain a little muscle, but only enough to not make a noticeable difference. As all of them looked over their new bodies, all wondering what the hell was going on, except Ninya, they suddenly felt very, very tired. What the hell, is going on? They all try to get out before succumbing to sleep. Well, I suppose that is probably pretty draining on the body and mind to be suddenly brought back as a new race. I'll let them sleep it off in the rooms I had them prepare. Taylar says to no one in particular. Decrement, are the rooms for our guests ready that I asked for? Yes, Lady Taylar. We have just finished preparing them for you. Very good job. I will be using them now. Please remember to bring a lunch and dinner for them when the time comes. I am not sure if they will be awake by then, but bring it anyway. Yes, Lady Taylar. Yuri Alpha, Nazarick has some guests. I wish for you to watch over them and tell me when they wake up. As you command, Lady Taylar. Back with Albedo after she left Ainz' office. You would think Albedo would be feeling all kinds of different emotions at this moment after her talk with Lord Ainz, but the end of their conversation had pretty much overridden the previous moments to Albedo. When he told her he had the same thoughts about learning to deal with humans, she was over the moon happy and didn't think it could get any better than that moment. She had struggled with not telling Taylar and Mamanga, even though it appeared she was learning. She still felt the same about the insects called humans. To hear him say because she was not acting on it, it proved she was learning because it was how he was learning made Albedo feel like a heavy weight had been lifted from her heart. When she broke down a little and he comforted her, she knew he wasn't still getting used to the idea of being with both of them and genuinely cared for her. When he wiped away her tears and called her his love, she almost flew off the ground in excitement. Her wings shook so fast. After she left the office, she teleported to the 9th floor, but not close to her destination. She wanted a few minutes to herself to think about what just happened and how to move Nazarick forward in the future. If Mamanga and Taylar were planning Nazarick's future, as a future queen, Albedo should do the same thing. She was on her way to the Pleiades wing of the 9th floor to visit them, a radiant smile still plastered on her face when she was interrupted by someone she hadn't seen in a few days and was going to be her first stop after the maids. Overseer Albedo, welcome back to Nazarick. Has Lord Ainz and Lady Taylar returned as well? Demiurge asks the succubus. Demiurge is a little surprised at Albedo's body language. She usually went to great length to hide any emotion from Demiurge. They didn't have a rivalry per se, because they all served to bring glory to Nazarick, but they had a friendly competition going to see who could figure out each other's and the Supreme Being's plans first. For Albedo to be so obviously happy was a new experience for Demiurge. Ah yes, we returned last night, but immediately went to sleep. It was a trying 3 days having to deal with so many humans. Albedo tells him. Do you happen to know where Lady Taylar and Lord Ainz are right now? I wish to speak with them about the defenses of Nazarick, he asks. Let's see. Lord Ainz was in the office of the throne room when I left a few minutes ago. I believe he said he would be there most of the day. Lady Taylar is on the 6th floor in the Colosseum testing her special ability on some humans who died during our quest. She wishes to make them heteromorphs and turn them into agents of Nazarick in some capacity. She hasn't said how yet. Albedo tells the devil. Lady Taylar is turning a group of humans into heteromorphs with one cast. Excuse me, Albedo, I wish to ask Lady Taylar if I may watch this. It might help out in the future for Nazarick. Demiurge says, and uses the ring of Ainz' old gown he was gifted by the Supreme Ones upon arriving in this world. Well, at least I wasn't the only one overexcited and gave away my obvious emotions. Albedo thinks. She arrives at the Pleiades wing and checks on each of the maids still in the tomb. She saw Yuri Alpha outside the throne room awaiting orders from Lord Ainz and knew Narbril needed time to rest after that journey. She was very proud of Narbril for how vigilant she was around Ainz and Taylar. She had no doubt she would give her life before allowing anyone to come close to either of them. She even noticed her getting a little protective of Albedo. After she talked with the Pleiades, she headed to the various rooms on the 9th and 10th floors to say hello to the homunculi maids. She knew she would see the ones who were off today at the cantina for lunch. It was only halfway through the 9th floor and hadn't even reached the 10th floor. She heard all the homunculi maids talking about Lady Taylar telling everyone the story of the fall of Seraphim and how they were all excited to hear about it. Judging from what she was hearing, she thought every citizen in Nazarick might be attending. After the short trip around Nazarick, Albedo went to the cantina for lunch. She loved spending time with them even if they were only level 1. They were still citizens of Nazarick. Albedo became like a celebrity to the homunculi maids and they tried to be around her as much as possible. She finished up her lunch with the maids and sent a message to Taylar to learn where she was to meet her. Taylar's response did not catch Albedo off guard at all. They were going to have it in the cantina because every maids, Pleiades, and Guardian wanted to hear the story. The only person who wasn't coming was Lord Ainz. He still had work to do, and they were going to meet him after. She went back inside the cantina and took a seat to wait for Taylar. This was turning out to be a wonderful day for Albedo, and there were still 2 more days to go before she had to return to that wretched city. Back with Ainz in the office. Seabass, how do you feel about leaving Nazarick to go on a mission? Ainz asks the butler. I shall do whatever you need to benefit Nazarick, Lord Ainz. Seabass replies. While I like your loyalty, I was hoping for a less generic response, Seabass. Ainz says. I am not sure what you mean, Lord Ainz, but if sending me out on a mission will benefit Nazarick, then I will gladly do so, he replies. So, you are not worried about the world outside of Nazarick? Ainz asks. No, my lord. Based on what you have told me, there is very little to fear. I will be very cautious in any case, Lord Ainz. Seabass tells him. It was good. He didn't need to tell Seabass to be careful. He definitely thought he would save just about anyone in trouble because of his settings and creator, but Ainz didn't have much of a problem with that. Seabass wouldn't just save anyone after all. He could easily tell the innocent from the guilty, so there was no need to worry about something like that. Very good, Seabass. I am going to be sending some of the Guardians and Pleiades out in the world to gather information. I wish to send you to the Riestai's kingdom so you may learn about its political structure, economic situation, military might, etc. You will need someone to pose as a noble to get you access to such information, so I will be buying a mansion in the capital for you to use, and you may take either Solution Epsilon or CZ Delta to be your fake noble. Also, for a portion of your journey, Shaltir and 2 of her vampire brides will accompany you. I have a mission for her also, and you are going in the same direction, he tells him. Ainz is wondering how exactly he should have Shaltir collect people who can use martial arts. He hasn't seen much of it, but he doesn't understand it at all. It didn't seem very useful to Ainz from what he saw. He saw Gazef do 6-fold slash of light, but didn't see the big deal about it. So he killed 6 angels with 1 attack. Big whoop. If they were packed in tight enough, Ainz could kill 30 of them with 1 attack from his death's calling without some ability to need to do it. The fact remained it was still unknown to him. There could be some martial art out there that could kill him instantly, he just had no idea. He needed to study these martial arts and figure out where they came from. He couldn't make it obvious martial artists were disappearing, so he would need to come up with a way to do this. He could always run that one by Taylar and Albedo. He might as well move on to Cositus. He already knew what he wanted him to do. Cocytus was a warrior of outstanding quality. There were few who could best him in one-on-one combat even in Nazareth. He would even give Ainz a good run for his money if he wasn't on top of his game. He wanted to see if that could lead to Cocytus being a teacher and leader for his army. If he could learn to teach and lead Ainz troops in battle, it would increase his military might instantly. Ainz learned when he was experimenting with Create Undead that if he used a body, the undead was permanent. If he didn't use one, it was treated as a normal summon creature. So, if need be, Ainz could make an endless horde of undead that could overwhelm this world. The amount of undead he could create in a day was pretty staggering if you considered his time was not limited, and he could do it every day if he wanted. He would need more than just undead to rule this world though, and starting with demi-human races was the easiest route. Most demi-humans just followed the strong, so you just had to prove you were stronger than them, and they fell into line. Humans were going to be much more complicated, and would require study to figure out. From what he learned of the kingdom from Ninya, it was a monarchy system. There was a king in place, but two factions that fought for control. According to Ninya, they cared little for their people, except for a select few, and only cared about land and money. Those kinds of nobles reminded Ainz of his Earth, and the corporations that ran the world. If there was any kind of person Ainz could relate to hating in this world with humans, it was people like that. He didn't learn much about the Holy Kingdom thus far, but just based off their name, he had a good idea they would not take kindly to the undead army he would amass. Ainz had other races to make up an army, angels being the biggest one since he and Taylar could both summon angels. She could actually command them if need be, unlike Ainz who could only command the dead. He did find out they had a paladin order, which he found interesting. He wondered if they were all just a big group of touch-me's fighting for justice. The Bahareth Empire seemed pretty straightforward from what he learned from the now-deceased, well-non-living members of the Sunlight Scripture. It had an emperor, and he made all the decisions. If you didn't agree with him, he simply killed you and your family. They called him the Bloody Emperor. Ainz found this quite interesting. He saw the Bahareth Empire as the human version of a demi-human civilization because the emperor seemed to rule through fear. The slain theocracy was the human civilization that worried Ainz. Not only did he know for certain they had items from Yggdrasil, but much more worrying then that they were a human supremacy country. They reminded Ainz of how the Catholic Church was run on Earth. They had a pope, worshipped 6 gods, well, 4 publicly and 2 in secret. The 4 public ones were the same for the people of the kingdom, Holy Kingdom, and Empire worshipped as their 4 gods. Their names sounded very familiar to Ainz, and he was pretty certain those 4 gods were actually players from Yggdrasil. If Ainz could get a good look at one of the statues to those gods, the slain theocracy, he could be pretty certain who they were. Since the 4 gods were supposedly humans, he didn't get much of a detailed description. When he heard of the 2 heteromorphic gods that were sometimes worshipped in private or by secret cults, the god of death Surshana, Ainz believes he remembers from Yggdrasil. After devoting himself completely to PvP in Yggdrasil, Ainz had learned a great deal about the other PvPers in Yggdrasil since he needed to be ready to fight anyone, at any time, in any situation. So, if any of the great gods of the theocracy were players of any significance, Ainz would more than likely know who they were. Ainz then thought of the dwarves of the Azurlija Mountains. Since the only thing Pandora and Aura had reported was they found the entrance to dwarven cities in the mountain, he could be certain of anything about the dwarves. The fact they didn't appear to be abundant out in the world probably meant they kept to themselves, so it would be a kingdom Ainz would more than likely have to go see for himself. All of the various demi-human tribes/clans/bands he learned of were probably going to be the easiest to conquer. Now he needed to decide which one to send Cocytus after. It would be a wonderful experiment to see if Cocytus could learn to be a general. Ainz was hoping for a resounding success, but as long as Cocytus learned something, he would consider it a win. He needed the Guardians and Pleiades to learn to think for themselves if Nazareth was going to be successful. Much like Taylar and he were trying to do with Albedo, just in a different capacity. After consulting the map Pandora and Aura made, Ainz decided to send Cocytus to subjugate the lizardmen. They called the lower portion of the Great Lake their home where it was shallow. It was almost like a swampland according to Aura, so it made sense they would live there. The other end of the Great Lake was apparently pretty deep, and it is where the larger water monsters lived. No reason to send Cocytus there if those creatures couldn't leave the Great Lake. After deciding on Cocytus' assignment, it was on to Aura and Mare. Aura was doing a great job in the Forest of Taub, and Ainz was going to keep her there even after the construction of the fake Nazarick was complete. Aura was at home in the forest, so there was no need to take her from that place. She even managed to sneak up on Albedo and Narbril when they were in the forest. Mare had done a wonderful job concealing Nazarick, but that job had only taken Mare a few hours because of his classes and abilities. Mare was by far the greatest AoE caster in all of Nazarick. He would even give Albert a run for his money unless he used his Grand Catastrophe ability. Since he couldn't send everyone out and leave Nazarick completely defenseless, he would have Mare take over Nazarick's security while Shaltir and Demiurge were away from the tomb. When it came to Demiurge, Ainz was at a loss as to where to send him. It wasn't that he needed to choose carefully because of him being a devil. He had to choose carefully because Ainz could use Demiurge everywhere in this world. With his intelligence, skills, and abilities, he could be an effective agent of Nazarick in any country. Ainz was the closest, and he could use him to infiltrate Zuranon and Eight Fingers while Seabass looked into the nobility. There was also the Holy Kingdom. Demiurge could definitely shed light on their situation being as they knew next to nothing about the country. Then there was the slain theocracy. Ainz knew this was the country he should learn the most about, but figured it would also take the longest to learn about. Even the members of the Sunlight Scripture didn't know everything about their country, and they were like a special ops unit. After carefully going over the merits and demerits to sending him to each country, Ainz decided to send him to the Ainz kingdom first. He could take over their underground, so they had another supply source coming into Nazarick, and Demiurge could tell Ainz all about the underbelly of the kingdom while Seabass did his thing. It would make learning about and conquering that kingdom relatively easy if he devoted more than one member of Nazarick to its information gathering. Victim and Gargantua wouldn't be leaving the tomb for any reason unless a special circumstance came up, so that left the three Pleiades with no assignment: CZ Delta, Uri Alpha, and Intoma. He needed someone to sell the potions in the barrier shop. That very quickly ruled out Intoma. With her appearance and voice, there would be no way she could do the job. CZ was an automaton and looked human but didn't have a way with words, and it required some customer service. That left Uri Alpha, who was going to be Ainz's first choice to begin with. Since she was created by Yumeko, Uri had no problem with humans even being an undead. Yumeko had made her undead, but gave her a positive karma value and a lot of motherly instincts. It showed in the way she carried herself every day and as the vice commander of the Pleiades. He would have to leave Shizu and Intoma here on standby for the time being. He would just have them assist Mare with the defense of Nazarick until they had something for both of them to do. With a rough outline of what he needed everyone to accomplish made, Ainz finally leaned back in his chair and took a deep breath. When he looked over at the clock, he realized it was already 5 p.m. He didn't realize he had been at it this long. It was probably a good idea to take a break and give Seabass one too. He had been standing ever vigilant next to Ainz the entire time he had been in the office. The only time he left was when Ainz told him to go listen to Taylar's story, because Ainz could tell he wanted to hear it too. It wasn't like he would need anything that urgent, so he sent Sixus and Seabass to listen. It was nice to have some peace and quiet for a couple of hours. As he was getting up to take a walk and rest his mind for a bit, he got a message from Taylar. Back with Taylar and Albedo. Both of them were walking through the forest on the 6th floor of Nazarick. Taylar wanted to spend some time with Albedo after she told everyone in Nazarick the story of the downfall of Seraphim. She was surprised that every single citizen of Nazarick wanted to attend, but when she thought about it, it made sense. They led the attack on the guild that made it all the way to the 8th floor, and a lot of the NPCs died during that raid. It would stand to reason they would want to hear of the destruction of the people who killed citizens of Nazareth. Taylar loved walking through this forest. It was incredibly peaceful here, amongst the trees. There was no place like this back on Earth. The forests had been decimated decades before Taylar had even been born. It was a very relaxing place, and she had no idea why the people of her former world would want to destroy something so peaceful and beautiful. I see you are like a celebrity, to the homunculi maids Albedo. They might even like you more than they like me, hee. Taylar says to Albedo. SS surely, that is not the case, Lady Taylar. Albedo replies. It was a joke, Albedo, calm down. What's up with the lady stuff again? I thought we were past that already, she asks. It was just a natural reaction. Mamanga did tell me we should call each other Lord and Lady at official meetings. He said it was how kings and queens act. Albedo replies. Now Mamanga is telling you things before me, huh? Looks like I am falling behind you in being a queen, Albedo. Taylar says sarcastically. Ella, Lady Taylar, I would never try Albedo is interrupted. It's okay, Albedo. I guess sarcasm isn't easy for you to pick up on. I am very proud of everything you have been doing. Taylar tells the succubus. Thank you, Taylar. It has been a struggle with some things, but I feel I am learning. I thought I was doing a terrible job until Mamanga assured me I was doing good. He seems to know just what to say to make you feel good about yourself. Albedo tells Taylar with a smile that Taylar obviously noticed. Yes, he certainly has a way with words. Well, most of the time, hee. Taylar replies. Taylar is about to say something else to Albedo when she is interrupted by a message. Lady Taylar, it is Yuri Alpha. Your guests have awakened. Very good, Yuri. I will be right there with Albedo and Ainz. Taylar ends the message and sends another message to Ainz. Mamanga, the swords of darkness are awake. Would you like to join me and Albedo? I'm sure they will have questions, and I want to talk to them individually before I let them see each other. You have perfect timing. I was just taking a break from paperwork. Where do you have them at? They are in the opposite wing from the Pleiades on the 9th floor. Albedo and I are headed there now. Very good. I will see you in a second. All three of them used their rings of Ainz gown to appear on the 9th floor. They appeared right next to each other and headed for the rooms the Swords of Darkness were staying in. Ainz strikes up a conversation on the way. He was curious how it went. I hear you had quite the audience for your story, Taylar. I even sent Seabass and Sixus to listen to you because I could tell how badly they also wanted to hear it. Ainz chuckles. Every single citizen of Nazareth was there. We had to have it in the cantina. It wasn't all that surprising, though. They did lead the group who made it to the 8th floor, so it would stand to reason they would want to hear of their downfall, she tells Ainz. Well, I hope you made me look good in front of them, haha. Ainz replies. Like you could look bad in front of the citizens of Nazareth, Lord Ainz. Taylar sarcastically replies. Looks like we are here. Should we all go into each room together and talk to them or split up? Ainz asks. We should probably do it all together. Then we wouldn't have to compare notes when we were done with each of them. Let's save Ninya for last since she was the one I spoke with using my special ability, so she knows what is going on already. Taylar replies to him. Good evening, Lord Ainz, Lady Taylar, Lady Albedo. Yuri says to them. Good evening, Yuri. Thank you for looking after our guests. We will talk to Peter first. Which room is he in? Taylar asks Yuri. He is in the 2nd room, Lady Taylar. I shall announce your presence to him, she says and takes off towards the door before Taylar can tell her it is unnecessary. Yuri makes her way into Peter's room and sees him standing in the middle of the room looking at his new body in the mirror. When he finally sees Yuri standing there, he turns his attention to the beautiful maid. The rulers of Nazareth wish to speak with you, Peter. You will show the proper respect to Lord Ainz, Lady Taylar, and Lady Albedo, or you will suffer the consequences. Do you understand me? Yuri tells him. Peter is slightly afraid of Yuri after the tone she just used, and he just nods his head up and down, not wanting to earn the wrath of this maid any more than he needed to. Yuri makes her way to the door and opens it for Ainz, Taylar, and Albedo. Yuri sees Peter not kneeling and shoots him a glare. On your knees in front of the supreme beings you cur. Yuri yells at him. It is okay, Yuri. I am sure he is confused. We can let it go this time. Ainz tells her. Peter Mock, leader of the Swords of Darkness, welcome to our home, and congratulations on your reincarnation. Taylar says to him. WW, who are you? Peter asks hesitantly. You disrespectful little dash, Yuri is cut off. Yuri, we told you they're confused. It is all right for now. Go, and tell the other 3 we will be with them shortly. You are dismissed. Taylar tells her. Yes, Lady Taylar. Yuri replies and shoots Peter a glare as if saying, you got lucky this time, but you better clean up your act. Sorry about that. They are very protective of us. As far as who we are, I am Lord Ainz Olgown. This is Lady Taylar Olgown and Lady Albedo. We are the rulers of the great tomb of Nazarick where you are currently at. Ainz tells Peter. What happened to me? Why am I here? Did you mean the rest of my party when you were talking about the other 3 that were here? Peter asks. As far as what happened to you were killed by a woman named Clementine, and you, Dine, and Luckrut were turned into zombies. The rest of your party is resting in other rooms at the moment, and you will be able to see them shortly. The reason you are here is simple. You died, and Lady Taylar used her ability as the Angel of Life to bring you 4 back to life, but your reincarnation comes at a cost. Your spellcaster Ninja agreed to these terms before you were resurrected. Taylar can tell you the price of your reincarnation. Ainz tells him. So, your cost at a second chance is to serve Nazarick before anything else. You will become apprentices of Nazarick and serve faithfully from now until you die. You will spend the first few weeks learning your new racial abilities and what it means to be an agent of Nazarick. If you complete your training to our satisfaction and show loyalty towards us, you will be sent back out into the world as the Swords of Darkness, once more, but with the power to actually become something in this world. If you do not agree to these terms, tell us now so we may set you free of your debt. Taylar tells Peter. What do you mean by setting me free of my debt? Peter asks. We mean kill you. Albedo says to him. If you do not serve the ones who granted you a second chance, why would we waste a second chance on you? Ainz tells him. Sounds like forced slavery to me. Peter replies. Oh, it isn't like that. Once you have completed your training, you'll be allowed to do whatever you wish as long as we do not have a mission for you. Your number 1 goal will be to help Mammon, Bella, Ariel, and Nabe raise their names as adventurers. Taylar tells Peter. How do you know of them? Are they agents of Nazarick as well? Peter asks. Yes, you could say that. Ainz replies. He looks at Taylar and Albedo, wondering if they should tell them they're those people. He sees Taylar nod in confirmation. As Taylar and Albedo reach into their inventories to pull out their necklaces, Ainz casts a spell. Create greater item. Peter sees Ainz change from a tall angel with black wings and very nice black armor to the hero Mammon he was just traveling with. When he looks to the side and sees Taylar and Albedo are Bella and Ariel, he is even more confused than before, but now understands how they were so strong. So you really weren't human? He mutters. No, we're not human. I am the angel of death. Taylar is the angel of life, and Albedo is a succubus. We were acting underpowered to gather intel on this world. Ninja taught me a lot in our short journey about Riestais. I am grateful to her for that. Ainz tells him. What did you turn me into? I feel stronger than ever, and my hair and eyes changed colors. Plus, I look like I gained about 25 pounds of muscle. Peter says, my special ability allows me to reincarnate people as a heteromorphic race of my choosing, but all targets come back as the same race. For you and your friends, I chose the Aasimar race. It is a race of celestial angels descendant from the first angel. They resemble humans almost perfectly, as you can see. You just have a hair and eye color that is different from any a human could ever get naturally. You can just say you dyed it, and it should be no problem. I'm sure the ladies of Irantal will like your new look, Peter. Taylar says to him, wait, did you say you were grateful to her when you were talking about Ninya? But Ninya is a boy. Did you change his gender? Peter asks. Oh no, Ninya has always been a woman, Peter. She used bandages to smash her chest down and wore baggy robes, so you guys couldn't tell since you thought having a woman in the party would be bad for your party. Sorry if you see her, she will look much different than you remember, but it is still Ninya. She is also an Aasimar now like the other members of your party. Taylar says to him, so now is your time to decide, Peter Mock. Do you agree to serve Nazarick until your dying breath and swear loyalty to Nazarick and its rulers? Ainz asks the fighter. Peter is weighing the options in his mind. On the one hand, he already felt stronger than he ever had. He still looked like he did before except the hair and eye color. Having to do whatever these three wanted didn't sound super appealing to him, but he did travel with them, and they seemed like decent enough people, beings. The only other option was for them to kill him if he refused, and he had no doubt they could do that in an instant if they wanted to. Can I talk to the other members of my team first? Peter asks. No, you may not. You must all decide for yourselves. For this is a selfish decision to make and must be made alone. Ainz says. Very well, I accept your conditions. May I see them now? He asks. No, you are the first we have talked to. After we speak with the other members of your team, all that have agreed can meet and discuss whatever you like. Taylar tells him. Now that you have agreed, welcome apprentice of Nazarick. We will call for you shortly. Until then, you may put on a change of clothes. You still have on your old ones, and they are not nearly as presentable as the citizens of Nazarick would like. There are clothes in the closet that will fit you. We will see you soon. Ainz tells him. As Ainz, Taylar, and Albedo leave Peter's room, they see Yuri Alpha waiting at their next stop. She notices them coming her way and announces them to the next in line for an audience. Announcing the arrival of Lord Ainz, Lady Taylar, and Lady Albedo, Yuri says. As they enter the room, they notice Stein kneeling. No doubt this is the result of Yuri talking to him while they were with Peter. You may rise, Stein would wonder. Ainz says and gives a regal hand motion for him to rise. Mamanga, you're getting pretty good at this ruling thing. Did I miss something, or am I just not paying enough attention? It's kind of embarrassing, but I found a book in the library to help. Man, I should have thought to look in the library. You gonna let me see that book too? If you like, just don't laugh when you see the title. Yuri Alpha, you may go get dinner for yourself. We will be fine from here on. Ainz says. But Lord Ainz, I cannot leave you, Lady Taylar and Lady Albedo unattended in front of guests. Yuri pleads. It will be fine, Yuri. I want you to gather the guardians, Pleiades, and homunculi maids in the cantina for dinner. We want to have a family dinner tonight. Taylar tells her. Yuri has mixed emotions about leaving right now. She not only thought someone should be here to attend to their needs, but she wanted to be here at least until they got to the next person. After the comments he made toward Yuri, she would not tolerate words like that to Lady Taylar and Lady Albedo, and wanted to be there to put him in his place if he spoke like that to either of them. She reluctantly obeyed her orders and left to gather everyone for dinner. Having dinner with the supreme beings was always a treat for everyone in Nazarick. Very well, Lady Taylar, Lord Ainz, Lady Albedo, I shall take my leave now. If you require anything, do not hesitate to call. Yuri says before she leaves the room. All right, now that we can talk alone, ask whatever questions you like of your circumstance, Dine would wonder. Ainz says to him, what exactly happened to me? I look like I did before, but with subtle differences, it took me a few moments to realize. I feel stronger than ever and look like I somehow slimmed down a little bit. Dine asks, I reincarnated you as an Asimar. It is a race of angels. The reason you feel so strong is because of your racial abilities and the fact your maximum potential has increased exponentially. As a human, you could never reach the level of the citizens of Nazareth. Now, you may one day grow as strong as our guardians if you try hard enough. Taylar tells him. Why did you reincarnate me? Dine asks. Well, ultimately, it was Ninya's decision to have all of you reincarnated. I am allowed to converse with one target of my mass reincarnation to make the decision on whether I should bring you back to life. She agreed to the terms, and now here we are. Now you must agree to the terms, or your second chance will not last very long. Taylar says. Does that mean you reincarnated the other members of my team as well? Yes, I have. If you agree to our terms, you will be able to see the others who have agreed when we are finished speaking with everyone. Taylar says to him, what are the terms of our reincarnation? They are pretty simple. First, you will serve Nazareth above all else. We will provide you training and lead you on the right path towards being useful agents of Nazareth. After you have completed the training we have in store, you will return to continue being the Swords of Darkness and aid Mammon, Bella, Ariel, and Nabe in furthering their names in this world. Ainz tells him, why are we helping them? Are they also working for you? They were exceptionally strong adventurers. I'm not sure how much help the Swords of Darkness could be to them. Dine says. Ainz realizes he had cancelled his spell after showing it to Peter, and Taylar and Albedo put away their necklaces. It was getting annoying a little, but it wasn't like he was going to run out of MP casting this spell repeatedly. Create greater item. Taylar and Albedo get what he's doing again and put their necklaces on quickly. Once Dine sees who Lord Ainz, Lady Taylar, and Lady Albedo are, it makes sense to him now. Not only how strong they were, but why they were going to help them further their names. It was all for Nazareth in the end. I see. How long do I have to make my decision? He asks them. If you have no more questions, you have about 1 minute to make your decision. There are others to talk to, and we are very busy right now. Ainz says to him. If I could ask one more question? He says. Go ahead, Dine. Ainz says. Why us? There are stronger adventurers out there. So, why bring us back? Dine asks. That was my idea. I'll be honest with you, Dine. I wanted to bring Ninya back to life because of her talent. The rest of you were her friends, so you just kind of came along for the ride, but that doesn't mean you are not welcome additions to Nazareth. We have the greatest druid caster this world has ever seen in Nazareth, and you would learn a lot from him if you accept. Taylar tells him. Dine thought about what they said for a moment. He never took to animals as some druids did. It wasn't that he didn't like them, he just couldn't form the kind of bond those kinds of druids had with animals. He wasn't much of a shapeshifter either like other druids. What he grasped better than anything was nature magic. If there was a great druid caster here in Nazareth, he had no doubt he would learn a lot. He could feel the power coursing through his veins and could tell his MP pool had nearly quadrupled. After those thoughts, the decision pretty much made itself. I accept you offer Lady Taylar, Lord Ainz, and Lady Albedo. Dine tells them and bows his head. Very good, Dine. There are clothes for you to change into in the closest. We will return for you after we speak with the rest of your team. Ainz says to him. Ainz, Taylar, and Albedo leave Dine to head to the next person. This was the one stop none of them could really predict what would happen. Everyone else had acted as expected, but no one knew what Luckrut would say. He was kind of the wild card when it came to this. He stopped them outside the door to ask something he had been wondering. Albedo, you have been very quiet this whole time. Is there nothing you want to ask or say to them? Ainz asks her. Truthfully, Mamanga, I don't see a use for them. I'm still unclear why you brought them back to life, even if you did change them to heteromorphs. Any of the Guardians or Pleiades could accomplish anything you ask of this team, and it would probably only take one of them, not four. Albedo replies. While you are probably right about the Pleiades and Guardians, Albedo, there are other reasons you are not considering. First, there are only so many Guardians and Pleiades to send out. There are a lot of countries I would like to investigate, but I do not have enough people to send out. There is also now the possibility we can train and grow them into attaining maximum level since they have surpassed their maximum human capability. It also served to test out Taylar's ability which, since it did, all but confirmed that mine will also work. You are incredibly intelligent, Albedo. Do not think what you would do with the Swords of Darkness. Instead, think of what you would do with a party of 4 angels that could pass as a human in any city where the human population was higher than any other race. Ainz says to her, I see, Mamanga. So even though they are still as weak as they were when they were human, they now have the potential to serve Nazarick befitting the strength one should possess for such a position. Albedo replies, that is pretty much the idea, just not worded how I would put it. Nonetheless, you get the idea. Ainz says, may I ask one more thing before we continue on? Albedo says, sure, go ahead. Why not train some of the Guardians to get stronger? They are already strong by this world's standards. If we give them more experience, surely they could help better than they could. Albedo asks, have you noticed that I have been letting Narbril Gamma kill most of the monsters we come across in our time as adventurers? Sure, we all kill some things, but I let her kill most of it for a reason. Ainz says, I was curious about why you were letting her do so much when any of us could have handled it on our own. Taylar says, have you tried the spell Analyze yet, Taylar? Ainz asks, no, I haven't. I didn't see much reason to since I used it to track the HP, SP, and status of party members during raids and quests. There hasn't been a reason for me to even heal any of you yet. Taylar replies to him, Analyze not only does that, it tells you weakness if used on an opponent, their strength relative to yours, and it also tells you how much experience an ally currently has if used on them. The 3 of us have not gained a single point of experience since we came to this world. In Yggdrasil, even if you killed a level 1, you still got 1 experience point, so you could bank EXP for spell and ability usage. I have killed things up to CR 40 and have not gained anything. Even Albedo, who killed all those ogres, and that woman who is around level 40 or 50 haven't gained experience. I believe level 100 is maximum for this world. Narbril Gamma, on the other hand, has been gaining experience since she left with us. She has actually already leveled up, but I don't think she has noticed because she still needs to gain 1 more level before she can cast Tier 8 spells. Ainz tells them, so, you are saying anyone who isn't level 100 should be able to gain levels in this world? Taylar asks, yes, I believe so. I think the Swords of Darkness can reach that level if we dash. Ainz is interrupted. Lord Mamanga, I have a suggestion if you don't mind. Albedo says to him. Ainz is kind of stunned for a moment that Albedo would interrupt him. It wasn't like her to do something like that. He didn't mind it at all. He just wasn't really prepared for it. What is it, Albedo? He says. This is exactly the inspiration Albedo needed. She had been wondering how she could contribute to the future of Nazarick other than just being able to manage the place. Talking about training anyone who wasn't level 100 gave Albedo a light bulb moment. Since we have 41 level 1 homunculi maids in Nazarick, and they all have set schedules now, they have been asking me what they can do to fill the time. They feel useless when not cleaning as they were created. Why don't we fill in that time with combat training? We could start them off with easier tasks and trainers, and if they get good enough, eventually we could have Cositis, Seabass, or I take over their training depending on their proficiencies. Albedo suggests. That is a fantastic idea, Albedo. If we could get everyone in Nazarick to level up, it would make us that much more powerful, and we wouldn't have to worry about taking the homunculi maids anywhere with us if they could protect themselves. Taylar says. I like that suggestion, Albedo, but there is one thing I would like to add to that. Ainz says, "What is it, Mamanga?" That sounds like a great idea already. Taylar says to him, "I would like to see if they could learn martial arts. I am going to have Shelter go on a trip for us to get some people who know martial arts. If the maids really can level up, I want to see if they can learn martial arts or if it is only learnable by the people of this world." Ainz says, "I would like to oversee the training of the maids if you don't mind, Mamanga." Albedo says to Ainz, "I have no objections to that. Taylar, what about you?" Ainz says, "That is fine by me, Albedo. I would like to see if any of the maids can learn to cast Miko spells. It would be great if they could do more than just fight." Taylar says, "Maybe we should G-dash." Ainz interrupts Albedo. "I am glad you are both excited about this, but we still have 2 more people to talk to. You will both have plenty of time to talk about this when we are through here." "Sorry, Mamanga. I get excited when it comes to the maids." Taylar says to him, "Yes, I apologize, Mamanga. I get the same way." Albedo says, "It is all right. Let's get this one over with. I have a feeling this conversation will be different than the last 2. Ainz says. As Ainz opens the door, he can hear Lucret talking to himself in the mirror. "Man, I should probably be mad I'm not human anymore, but I look good." Ainz just shakes his head after hearing Lucret. It seems dying didn't change him one bit. As they make their way into the room, Ainz is about to tell Lucret his situation, but Lucret opens his mouth first. "Oh wow, I thought I looked good, but you 2 ladies, holy sh dash." Lucret's words are interrupted by a hand around his throat squeezing the life out of him. Standing in front of him is a 6 feet 5 inches angel with black wings, black hair, and red eyes. The angel does not look happy at all if it wasn't obvious from the hand around his throat. "It seems dying has not changed you at all, Lucret. Those 2 are my queens. If you ever even think about them in that way again, I will end you. Unlike your party members, who we had a civil discussion with. I will make you an offer right now. You will accept or decline, and that will be the end of it. Nod your head if you understand," Ainz tells the ranger. Lucret nods his head up and down as fast as he can. He can't breathe at all and feels like he is about to pass out in seconds, even given his sturdier body he now possessed. "Good, now listen. The price of your reincarnation is to serve us until your dying breath. You will follow our commands, do anything we ask of you, and protect all the citizens of Nazareth with all your might. Those are the conditions of your reincarnation. Do you accept?" Ainz says. He actually tried to word it so it would sound like a lifetime of servitude. He wanted Lucret to decline so he could finally be rid of this annoying pest. He probably should have made it sound much worse because what he said didn't sound all that bad. Lucret is gasping for air the whole time Ainz is explaining his situation. After Ainz finishes and Lucret is finally able to breathe enough to speak, he could tell this king did not take kindly to those who looked at his queens. He assumed declining meant death, and he wasn't really in the mood to die. Again, after being given a second chance. Since he mentioned the other members of his party, they must be here too. He didn't see a reason to decline, but he would definitely need to watch himself around this king. "I accept King Ainz," Lucret says. Well, that didn't go as planned. Ainz mutters to himself. "Very well. Change your clothes and be ready when we return," Ainz says and leads everyone out of the room. He really wanted to see what his death's calling would do to someone from this world, but he supposed that would have to wait. On the way back to the first door to talk to Ninya, Taylar had to make fun of Mamanga for what just happened. "So, Lord Ainz, are you going to blind everyone in the world so they can't look at us?" she says with a playful smile on her face. "No one but you will ever have our love, Mamanga. You do not need to get so angry. Although it does make me feel good, hee, Albedo says and giggles at the end like a teenage schoolgirl. "I am sorry. I just can't seem to help myself when it is about you too. I'm working on it. I just can't stand that guy for some reason," Ainz says to them. They make it in front of Ninya's door, and Taylar knocks before entering. She opens the door and sees Ninya sitting on the bed with her hands in her face. She looks up when they enter, and they can see she had been crying. "What is wrong, Ninya?" Taylar asks her. "I don't know if Peter, and everyone WW will hate me for having TT them brought back as a DD different RR race." Ninya sobs out of her mouth. "Ninya." Taylar hands her a handkerchief and sits down on the bed next to her. "I don't think they hate you. They all know it was your decision to accept the reincarnation, and they have all agreed to the conditions. They are ready to see you if you have no questions for us." Taylar tells Ninya. "Are really, Lady Taylar?" Ninya says. "Yes, really, Ninya. Do you want to ask us anything before you see them? Not sure if you noticed yet, but there is no hiding you are a woman now. You look great as an Aasimar." Taylar says to her. Ninya collects herself after a few moments. There were a few things she wanted to know. This would be the best time to ask them since she had all three of them here with her. "You said I am an Aasimar now. What kind of race is that?" Ninya asks. "It is a race of angels. I doubt your mindset has changed much. You are probably the same alignment you were before your reincarnation, so other than feeling more powerful, and you being immune to some things you weren't before, you should feel pretty much the same. Well, that, and you being really gorgeous now. Have you looked in the mirror yet?" Taylar tells her. "I did, Lady Taylar. I still can't believe it myself. At least I still look somewhat like myself, and I'm not completely different. My sister will still recognize me if I can find her. How long will we need to be here before we can go out again?" Ninya replies. "That will depend on your training, Ninya. The faster you complete it, the faster you can venture out." Ainz says to her. "Where exactly is Nazarick? You kept mentioning it to me, but I have never heard of it before," she asks. "Nazarick is our home. Where you currently are is the 9th floor of Nazarick. There are 10 floors. If you mean geographically speaking, we are near Karn Village and the Forest of Taub." Ainz says to her. "I feel much stronger than I did before. Did you do something to me other than reincarnate me?" Ninya asks. "No, I only reincarnated you. That feeling of power you have is from being an angelic race. The amount of SP you have has probably at least tripled, if not increased more. Your potential is now much higher than when you were as a human. As a human, if you trained your whole life, you might be able to cast Tier 5 magic. As an Aasimar, if you train, I have no doubt you will one day be able to cast Tier 10 magic if you put your mind to it." Taylar tells her. Ninya is stunned. She had never even heard of magic going past the 7th tier. To think there was magic up to Tier 10 was amazing to her. She couldn't wait to learn from anyone in Nazarick if this is what her reincarnation meant. She couldn't complain about the appearance of her new race. Sure, she wasn't human anymore, but she definitely still looked human. She also knew Taylar was right. She was incredible looking compared to how she used to present herself. It would take some getting used to, but it wasn't a bad thing to get used to. "Thank you for answering my questions, Lady Taylar, Lord Ainz, and Lady Albedo. I will work hard to live up to this second chance you have given me." Ninya says to them. "We have no doubt you will, Ninya. Now, before you go see your other team members, you should change clothes. Those bloody old things don't suit you anymore, and I picked out some things for you. They are in the closet. When you are done, meet us outside your room, and we will have Peter, Dine, and Luckrut with us." Taylar says to her. "Thank you again, Lady Taylar." Ninya bows to them. They exit the room and gather up the other members of the Swords of Darkness. Once they all see each other, they embrace for a group hug and start exchanging pleasantries. When they finally make it to the last door in the hallway, Ainz, Taylar, and Albedo stop in front of it and wait. Only a few moments later, Ninya comes out of her room to meet the rest of them. When she steps out of the room, the rest of the Swords of Darkness are all just standing there staring at her with their mouths open. Ninya was wearing a Cheongsam dress, a Chinese dress that hugged the body of its wearer. Her body once covered in baggy robes, was now showing every curve she had. Her perfectly shaped legs led right up to her toned abs and impressive bust, a C or small D cup by Lucrat's estimates. The short cut-up brown hair she used to have was now replaced with long, straight flowing platinum blonde hair. Her blue eyes were now shining gold, and her once childish-looking face seemed more refined and elegant than ever before. None of the Swords of Darkness knew what to say at this moment. Even Ninya felt a little awkward at how they were staring at her. Hi guys. Ninya finally says. Holy shit Ninya. You are gorgeous. Lucrat says. He realizes what he just said and looks at Ainz to see if he's going to choke him again. Lucky for Lucrat, Ainz didn't move a muscle. Thanks. Ninya replies. Well, we just wanted to make sure your reunion went all right. We have business to attend to. You four can spend some time talking with each other. Do not leave this wing of Nazarick unless you ask permission and have someone escort you. The other citizens of Nazarick will not know who you are and assume you are intruders. We will tell them about you shortly, but for now, rest and prepare yourselves for training. Someone will be along with dinner for all of you shortly. Taylar says to them. After Taylar tells them that, all three of them use the rings of Ainz Olgown to head to the cantina for dinner with everyone in Nazarick. It would be good to be around everyone again. Dinner with everyone was a great success, and they informed everyone there would be an audience in 2 days in the throne room before they set off for Irantal again. A lot of the people of Nazarick didn't like hearing they would be leaving again. They didn't want the last two supreme beings leaving for good, as the others had. 2 days later, Ainz, Taylar, and Albedo are making their way to the throne room doors for their audience with the citizens of Nazarick. They have all worked out plans for everyone after consulting with each other over each of their plans. It didn't take as long as Ainz thought it would have because it seemed they all were either focused on the same objective or completely different ones, so their plans either already worked together or wouldn't interfere with the others. It made it quite simple to plan, and with the help of Taylar and Albedo, Ainz finally had a solid plan for Shaltir. There were some things Taylar wanted to tell the Guardians, some more than others, about them being in the outside world, but everything should go smoothly. On the way down the hall, they all noticed Yuri Alpha waiting outside the doors for them. It was strange to Taylar and Albedo that she wasn't already inside the throne room and wondered what she was doing out here. Thank you for meeting us, Yuri. Ainz says to her. No thanks are needed, Lord Ainz. I will come whenever called. Yuri replies. Well, I'll thank you anyway. Is everything ready in there? He asks. Yes, my lord. We are set up and ready for your audience, she replies. Ainz, what is going on here? Taylar asks. Even Albedo was about to ask what was going on. Oh, I have a surprise for you too. He gives them a mischievous smile. You managed to keep a secret from us? We must be losing our touch, Albedo. Perhaps we should step up our game, Taylar says to him as seductively as she can. No need for that. Ainz yells, can't you just let me have this one? He pleads. Fine, you can have this one, but I'm still stepping my game up. Taylar replies. Ainz just puts his hand on the bridge of his nose and shakes his head. He was trying to do something sweet, and now she was going to try to make him flustered since he got one by her. It was fine with him, though. That usually meant her trying to get him flustered by teasing him, getting extra close, or having Albedo say, or do something similar. Ainz was getting used to it, and actually was quite enjoying it by now. It was a different experience to have two women this beautiful trying to get your attention. Okay, Yuri, head in, please. We will be there in a moment. Ainz tells Yuri. I will head in to announce you Lord Ainz. Albedo says to him. No, Albedo, wait right here for a moment. You will ruin the surprise if you go in right now. Ainz says. Now both of them are very curious as to what is going on. Ainz is never this bold with anyone. Ainz takes both of their hands and through the doors, they can hear Yuri Alpha say. Announcing the arrival of the absolute rulers of the great tomb of Nazarick. As Ainz leads them into the throne room, They both see smaller versions of the Throne of Kings on the left and right of the world item version. It was no wonder he wanted to have their meetings on different floors the last 2 days. He leads them to their seats, Taylar on his right, Albedo on his left, and they all sit down together. Raise your heads, Ainz says. Taylar and Albedo both notice he is growing into quite the ruler and has the bearing of a true king. It kind of makes Taylar giggles a little bit since she got Mamanga to show her that book he was talking about. She wondered how it would look to everyone if they found out their supreme overlord of death was reading books called How to Be a King for Dummies and Regal Poses of Monarchs. When all the denizens of Nazarick looked up, they saw their absolute ruler sitting in his throne. When they saw Lady Taylar, it was nice to see her with a throne of her own. When they saw where Albedo was, it gave them all different reactions. One thing was for sure, it confirmed what Sixes told them, and they would have a lot more to gossip about. We have a lot to get to, so I will try to make this as brief as possible. I will be sending out various guardians into the world to gather intelligence for us. We have also made a new training schedule for some of you. Lastly, we have new members of Nazarick. They will be apprentices in training for now until they earn the right to be members of Nazarick. Ainz points to the Swords of Darkness who are awkwardly standing off to the side near the doors. First, I will give you your assignments. Sebastian and Solution Epsilon step forward. They both step to the base of the thrones and kneel. Yes, Lord Ainz, they say. You two will infiltrate the nobility of the Riestai's kingdom. I wish to know about its structure and the 2 factions it has. Who is in charge? What are their goals? Etc. We have purchased a mansion for you to use, and there is a carriage awaiting your departure for tomorrow morning. Sebas, you will be acting as Solution's butler, and she will be the acting noble. Learn what you can and give regular updates via message. As you command, Lord Ainz, they say and go back to their original positions. Demiurge, step forward. Demiurge strides forward with his immaculate suit and perfect posture. He gracefully kneels with his hand over his heart and says, Yes, my lord. Since we are on the Riestai's kingdom, you will also be going there. I wish for you to learn of this secret cult called Zuranon that worships death and an underground organization known as 8 Fingers. If possible, I wish for you to take over their operations so we have a constant revenue stream coming in of this world's money and supplies. Ainz says. Before he can acknowledge his orders, Taylar adds something. Also, Demiurge, you are to go after 8 Fingers and Zuranon. You may do whatever you wish to the criminals in your way to accomplish your goals, but do not hurt any innocent people or children on your mission. What age do you consider someone to be a child, Lady Taylar? Demiurge asks. From what I've seen here, I'd say 12 and younger. I have seen teenage knights here, so I suppose that is adult age in this world for a human, she tells the devil. It was good to get clarification for Demiurge. He saw all humans as helpless children unable to reach any sort of real potential. Now that he had an age, he could start planning his experiments. One last thing, Demiurge. If there is a person or persons of interest to you in this kingdom, you may add them to your surveillance list. Just don't add too many. I doubt there is anyone you would find interesting with your level of intelligence. Ainz tells him. As you wish, Lord Ainz. Demiurge goes back to his position. Sheltir Bloodfallen, step forward. Sheltir makes her way to the throne and kneels before Ainz. She had to take this opportunity to impress him, or it would be all over for her in her eyes. I want you to venture to the kingdom and look for martial art users for us to study. It will be troublesome if famous martial artists start disappearing, so I want you to find bandits, criminals, and people like that who no one will miss for you to bring back here. You should be able to use your charm or dominating gaze to get them to come back rather easily. You may take 2 vampire brides with you, and you can always summon your household if you need more backup. Ainz tells her. Also, Sheltir, if you are seriously injured, your brides or household defeated, or about to be taken by your blood frenzy, I want you to message one of us immediately. I do not wish to see you die, or worse, by having your nature take over. Taylar says to her, You will leave with Seabass when he departs until you come to the first cave we believe bandits to be stationed. If Seabass can find some targets for you, he will message you and let you know. Ainz finishes. Yes, Lady Taylar, Lord Ainz. Shaltir says. Aura and Mare step forward. Ainz says. They both make their way in front of him. Aura incredibly enthusiastically, Mare timid and slightly afraid. Yes, Supreme Ones, they say. Aura, you will continue the construction in the forest, and when it is finished, I want you to map out the area in detail along with the creatures in each area. I know you did a rough view of a greater area, but I want to have detailed maps of every surrounding area. Mare, with Shaltir gone, I need you to oversee the defense of Nazarick. CZ Delta and Intoma will assist you in this with whatever you need. As you command, Lord Ainz, they say, and go back to their positions. Finally, Cocytus stepped forward. Cocytus makes his way towards the throne, wondering how he could be of service to the supreme beings. He couldn't blend into a human world like some of the others. It was puzzling why he was being given a mission. He kneeled at the throne and says, How may I serve you, Lord Ainz? Cocytus, there is a bunch of tribes of lizard men that live in the southern part of the Great Lake. If we are to rule this world, we must make all races swear fealty to us. I want you to be the first to try and help us conquer this world. I am going to give you a unit of undead to attack the lizard men with. I do not want you to participate in the battles. I want you to figure out how to win the battle and order your troops to victory. Ainz tells him, As you command, Lord Ainz. Cocytus makes his way back to his spot, thinking of the orders Lord Ainz gave to him. Now on to other topics. Lady Taylar, Narbril Gamma, and Pandora's actor will be training our new apprentices for the time being until we figure out the best training for them. Last but not least, I will let Lady Albedo tell the homunculi maids what she has come up with for you. Ainz says. All the maids are excited at the news Lady Albedo has something planned for them. They all loved spending time with her and learning new things from her. Thank you, Lord Ainz. We have learned that anyone not of a floor guardian's power can gain power in this world. Since you all have expressed the want to do something with your new off time, I am going to start training the maids in fighting and magic, so you may too someday be able to serve Nazarick in an even greater capacity. She tells them. All of the maids are smiling ear to ear at the news. To think they could get even stronger for the sake of Nazarick was like a dream come true. My hope is that one day, when we rule this world, that we will not need to rely on the people of this world to manage it. I wish to give all of you a piece of this world. Now that you have your orders, you are dismissed. If you have questions about your assignment, you may stick around and ask them. Work hard for the glory of Nazarick. Ainz tells everyone. Lord Ainz wishes to give everyone in Nazarick a piece of this world to share. What a kind, loving, and merciful Lord we have. Everyone in the throne room thinks. After he dismisses everyone, only Cocytus stays to ask any questions of him. He was hoping Cocytus' questions would already show him learning to think for himself, but would need to wait until after he asked his questions. Yes, Cocytus. Do you have questions about your mission? Ainz asks the Vermin Lord. Yes, Lord. Ainz, I wish to know exactly what kinds of undead will make up my unit, so I may organize them for my battle with the lizardmen. Cocytus asks Ainz. Ah yes, I have your unit ready to go on the first floor. After you inspect your troops and organize them as you like, I will send you to the fake Nazarick Aura is constructing via gate, so you may begin your campaign. Ainz tells him, Thank you, Lord Ainz. I shall make Nazarick proud. Cositus says as he gives a bow to the rulers of Nazareth and heads off to the first floor to inspect his troops. Once Cositus leaves, it is only Ainz, Taylar, Albedo, and their 3 homunculi maids left in the throne room. Taylar and Albedo have been waiting to be alone with Ainz since they saw their replica. Throne of Kings in the room. They both get up, give him a kiss on the cheek, and hug him from each side. "Good to see you can still surprise me, love." Taylar says to him, "Thank you so much, Lord Mamanga." Albedo says her voice sounds like she might start crying. "I am glad you two like them. It felt wrong being the only one with a throne since both of you have been doing just as much or more for Nazareth than I have. Sorry, they don't give you the buff the Throne of Kings does, but you two could always just sit down on it for a while if you wish to have it. It only takes about 2 minutes of sitting in it for the throne to grant it to you." Ainz says to them. With that said, they all make their way to prepare to leave for Irantal. The guild should have decided what rank they're going to be by now, and everyone in Nazareth has their orders. Plus, Ainz knew he would have time to come back now that they were going to be traveling with just them. They could pop back into Nazareth whenever they needed to if something came up. None of them saw the tears coming from the homunculi maids. To witness such a romantic scene between their rulers was moving to them. They were truly lucky to have a ruler as caring and loving as Lord Ainz. It was no wonder to them why the other supreme beings chose Lord Ainz to lead them all.
That's it for today. Remember to show your support to the creator of this story if you enjoyed it. If you would like more parts of the story to be uploaded, leave a comment and subscribe to get notified when the story continues. Bye-bye for now, and I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your day.